Well, new tonight at 6, a Duluth man convicted of illegally shooting and killing a moose now has his big game hunting privileges revoked. Last week, Dane Nelson was sentenced in court after he pleaded guilty to shooting and killing a moose last November. According to court documents, Nelson told officers he was up in a deer stand north of Cotton when he thought he saw deer antlers and shot the animal. Last Wednesday, the court sentenced Nelson for killing a moose, which is a misdemeanor. He will be under unsupervised probation for a year, was ordered to pay $1,000 in restitution along with just under $400 in fines and fees. The judge also revoked his big game hunting rights for a year and had his rifle confiscated by the DNR.